There is a giant scandal unfolding in North Carolina right now that could directly impact Donald Trump's ability to win the 2024 election. CNN just dropped a bombshell story about the Republican candidate for governor, Mark Robinson. The details revealed are abhorrent and shocking, but this might not just be the end of Mark Robinson. This scandal might have just ruined Donald Trump's chances of winning the 2024 election. I'll tell you all about it coming right up. Mark Robinson is currently the lieutenant governor of North Carolina, but he's also the Republican Party's nominee to be governor, and he'll be on the ballot on November 5th. But Mark Robinson has been trouble for the Republican Party ever since he announced he was running for governor. He has a long history of making controversial remarks that are giving the Republican Party in this major swing state a huge headache. After the assassination attempt of Donald Trump in July at his rally in Butler, Pennsylvania, the Republican Party tried to say that it was rhetoric on the left that led to this attempt on Trump's life. But then video came out of Mark Robinson in June stating that some people just need killing.
Get mad at me if you want to. Some folks need killing. It's time for somebody to say it. It's not a matter of vengeance. It's not a matter of being mean or spiteful. It's a matter of necessity.
It's kind of hard to lecture the left about their rhetoric when you're the one advocating for killing people. But the hypocrisy runs deep with Mark Robinson because he claims to be a hardcore Christian and rails against those that don't share his beliefs. But a story came out in September that Mark Robinson was a frequent visitor to porn shops in his 20s and 30s. According to this article in the Assembly, the ex-porn shop employee said the following. According to Lewis Money, who worked in several of Greensboro's windowless 24-hour video pornography stores, Robinson was a frequent customer in the 1990s and early 2000s. Money, 52 years old, told the Assembly that Robinson came in as often as 5 nights a week to watch porn videos in a private booth. So look, if you want to go to a porn store back in the 90s and 2000s, that's your business. But don't preach at me and tell me that I'm a worse person than you because I don't espouse your beliefs. It sounds like Mark Robinson didn't always believe whatever he believes now. Mark Robinson has also made some terrible comments about abortion. His Democratic opponent, Josh Stein, put out an ad featuring some of his greatest hits, including this one.
Abortion in this country is not about protecting the lives of mothers. It's about killing a child because you weren't responsible enough to keep your skirt down.
But Mark proved that he's a total hypocrite, and in a surprise to nobody, Mark and his wife admitted that they had actually had an abortion years ago.
30 years ago, my wife and I made a very difficult decision. We had an abortion.
So needless to say, Mark Robinson sucks. And now it looks like his campaign is in some major trouble, and this might be the end of the road. CNN has dropped a bombshell article detailing some disturbing comments that Mark Robinson made on a porn forum in the past. And if this controversy takes down Mark Robinson as the Republican Party's nominee for governor, then that could very well spell disaster for Donald Trump. That's because North Carolina is a must-win state for Donald Trump, and Kamala Harris is essentially tied in the polls. And supposedly, the Republican Party is putting massive pressure on Mark Robinson to drop out because they are concerned that he will drag down the entire ticket. If Kamala Harris wins North Carolina, then her path to victory becomes much easier. So let's take a look at this CNN article, and warning, it is quite offensive. I'm a black Nazi. North Carolina GOP nominee for governor made dozens of disturbing comments on porn forum. And you can see CNN's got the receipts playing in a carousel right here. Mark Robinson, the controversial and socially conservative Republican nominee for governor of North Carolina, made a series of inflammatory comments on a pornography website's message board more than a decade ago, in which he referred to himself as a black Nazi and expressed support for reinstating slavery. Despite a recent history of anti-transgender rhetoric, Robinson said he enjoyed watching transgender pornography, a review of archived messages found in which he also referred to himself as a perv. The comments, which Robinson denies making, predate his entry into politics and current stint as North Carolina's lieutenant governor. They were made under a username that CNN was able to identify as Robinson by matching a litany of biographical details and a shared email address between the two. Many of Robinson's comments were gratuitously sexual and lewd in nature. They were made between 2008 and 2012 on Nude Africa, a pornographic website that includes a message board. The comments were made under the username Mini Soldier, a moniker Robinson used frequently online. Robinson listed his full name on his profile for Nude Africa, as well as an email address he used on numerous websites across the internet for decades. CNN is reporting only a small portion of Robinson's comments on the website, given their graphic nature. This looks like CNN did quite the thorough investigation because they've got receipts for days. So they've got a Facebook post that shows a previous Twitter handle as Mini Soldier. They have a Pinterest account under Mark Robinson that has the moniker Mini Soldier. They've got a YouTube channel under Mini Soldier that is Mark Robinson's content. They've got a Discus account called Mini Soldier with Mark Robinson's face in the profile. Black Planet, they've got an account under Mini Soldier as well. And it looks like they've got his age is 40 and he's from Greensboro, North Carolina, black, zodiac sign Leo. This is not looking good for Mark Robinson. I don't think he's going to be able to deny this one. And then the article really starts blasting him on his public policy positions and how he appears to have some different thoughts about those things. Publicly, Robinson has fiercely argued that people should use bathrooms only that correspond to the gender they were assigned at birth. He also said transgender women should be arrested for using women's bathrooms. If you're a man on Friday night and all of a sudden Saturday you feel like a woman and you want to go in the women's bathroom in the mall, you will be arrested or whatever we got to do to you, Robinson said at a campaign rally in February 2024. We're going to protect women. Yet privately, under the username Mini Soldier on Nude Africa, Robinson graphically described his own sexual arousal as an adult from the memory of secretly peeping on women in public gym showers as a 14-year-old. Robinson recounted the story as a memory he said he still fantasized about. I came to a spot that was a dead end, but had two big vent covers over it. It just so happened it overlooked the showers. I sat there for about an hour and watched as several girls came in and showered, Robinson wrote on Nude Africa. CNN is not publishing the graphic sexual details of Robinson's story. I went peeping again the next morning, Robinson wrote, but after that I went back, the ladder was locked, so those 2 times were the only times I got to do it. Ah, memories! In other comments on Nude Africa, Robinson discussed his affinity for transgender pornography. I like watching, and then he used a derogatory term for transgender people, which I won't repeat, on girl porn. That's effing hot. It takes the man out while leaving the man in, Robinson wrote. And yeah, I'm a perv too. In an interview with CNN on Thursday, Robinson repeatedly denied that he made the comments on Nude Africa. This is not us. These are not our words. And this is not anything that is characteristic of me, Robinson said. Presented with a litany of evidence connecting him with the Mini Soldier username on Nude Africa, Robinson said, I'm not going to get into the minutia of how somebody manufactured these salacious tabloid lies. So it sounds like Mark Robinson's defense is that somebody created this history of comments and usernames and profiles and pictures of him and has completely framed him. They got the wrong guy. He's innocent. He didn't do it. The article goes on to talk about abortion and how Mark Robinson claims he's super against it. But writing as Mini Soldier on Nude Africa in December 2010, Robinson said he did not care about a celebrity having an abortion. I don't care. I just want to see the sex tape, Robinson wrote. In another thread, commenters considered whether to believe the story of a woman who said she was raped by a taxi driver while intoxicated. In response, Robinson wrote, and the moral of this story, don't F a white B. Robinson, who would become North Carolina's first black governor if elected, also repeatedly maligned civil rights leader Martin Luther King Jr., attacking him in such intense terms that a user accused him of being a white supremacist. Get that effing commie bastard off the National Mall, Robinson wrote about the dedication of the memorial to King in Washington, D.C. by then President Barack Obama. I'm not in the KKK. They don't let blacks join. If I was in the KKK, I would have called him Martin Lucifer, and then he used a slur for black people that I'm not going to say. It looks like CNN did a thorough job explaining how they connected Mark Robinson to these accounts. On the Nude Africa website, in both comments and his profile, Mini Soldier offered numerous details that align precisely with Robinson's personal history. In his profile, Mini Soldier listed his full name as Mark Robinson and disclosed a private email address Robinson used elsewhere online. In 2012, a user responded to a comment by calling Mini Soldier Mark. Mini Soldier mentioned in 2008 being married for 18 years, which corresponds with Robinson's marriage to Yolanda Hill in 1990. In 2011, Mini Soldier wrote he had been married 21 years. Mini Soldier wrote in a 2011 post that he lived in Greensboro, North Carolina, the same town where Robinson lived at the time and currently lives. And looky, they've got all the screenshots to prove it right here. This guy is so busted, and now he's gonna claim that somebody doctored all of this? Come on. And it looks like Mark Robinson had some interesting thoughts about slavery. In the pornographic forums, Robinson revealed his unvarnished thoughts on issues such as race, gender, and abortion. Writing in a forum discussing black Republicans in October 2010, Robinson stated unprovoked, "I'm a black Nazi." That same month, Robinson wrote in another post that he supported the return of slavery. "Slavery is not bad. Some people need to be slaves. I wish they would bring it back. I would certainly buy a few," he wrote. In March 2012, Robinson wrote that he preferred the former leader of Nazi Germany, Adolf Hitler, over the leadership in Washington during the administration of Barack Obama. "I take Hitler over any of the blank that's in Washington right now." Robinson's comments on Nude Africa often frequently contain derogatory and racial slurs directed at black, Jewish, and Muslim people. In a series of 7 posts in October 2011, Robinson disparaged Martin Luther King in such intense terms, calling him a commie bastard, worse than a maggot, a ho effing phony, and a huckster, that a user in the thread accused him of being in the KKK. Robinson responded by directing a slur at King. Robinson also used homophobic slurs frequently, calling other users the F slur. In a largely positive forum discussion featuring a photo of 2 men kissing after one returned from a military deployment, Robinson wrote the sole negative comment. "That's some old sick F slur bullshit," he wrote. Woo! This guy is a piece of work. A lot of people are starting to wonder what would happen if Mark Robinson did drop out, because the ballots are printed and they're starting to go out soon because early voting in North Carolina is starting. I mean, the election is coming up. It's on November 5th. It's like 6-7 weeks away. Well, the Washington Post covered that in their article about this story. They said even if Robinson were to withdraw from the governor's race Thursday, it is probably too late to remove his name from the ballot because absentee ballots have already been printed, said Karen Brinson Bell, who leads the State Board of Elections. An additional complication, she said, is that overseas and military ballots are scheduled to go out Friday, as required by federal law. It would take about 2 weeks and cost more than $1 million to reprint ballots. As the chief election officer, I know where we are in the process, Bell said. To remove a name from the ballot at this time would be an insurmountable hurdle. If Robinson does withdraw, the state Republican Party would have the ability to nominate a new candidate, and votes for Robinson would go to that individual. But Robinson's name would remain on the ballot. So if Mark Robinson bows to the pressure from his own party and withdraws from the governor's race, his name will still appear on the ballot. And even though all votes for him will go to somebody that the Republican Party can nominate, you can imagine the confusion and disappointment from Republican voters that are surely going to lead to a defeat for the Republican candidate for governor. Do you think the average Republican voter or person interested in voting for the Republican for governor is going to understand that a vote for Mark Robinson is really a vote for this other guy that the Republican Party has nominated that nobody's ever heard of? I don't think so. At that point, I think the Republican Party just accepts defeat in the governor's race. And that could also spell disaster for Donald Trump, who would be dragged down by this controversy and drama. And if Donald Trump does not win North Carolina, then his chances of winning the presidency diminish greatly. So this could mean not only the end of Mark Robinson's campaign to become the next governor of North Carolina, but also the demise of Donald Trump's 2024 presidential campaign. And Trump has nobody to blame but himself, because he's the one that enabled Mark Robinson to become the nominee for governor and continue to support him throughout his campaign.